The letter Q is a collection of 64 DLBT authors' letters to their younger selves. I got the idea because I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 8 years, and there are always these students who you see in the moments of struggle or crisis, and they're not necessarily the kids that I worry about. Aren't the kids who talk to me? They're the kids who don't, right? Or who don't talk to anybody. Not to me, but not to anybody. But you can tell. You can sort of see something moving under the surface, and you worry. And I was talking to my partner, Jasmine, and I was saying to her, you know, I had been trying to work on a book, and I said, you know, I don't really want to work on this book. There are all these kids that I've seen come through my classroom, and I've so often wished that they had just a note appear in their backpack that said, "You're not crazy. This is hard because this feels hard because it is hard, and you're going to be all right. And here's how you get through. Not wait until you're 25. You're going to be okay. But here's what you can do right now that'll make it just a little easier." And I said, you know, but I would love to write those letters, but that's not a book, that's a letter. And she said, no, but a book of letters is a book. And so we started dreaming up the sort of wish list of authors we would have write letters to their younger selves, and on that list was James Lacine, who's the founder of the Trevor Project, and I knew James when I was a kid in Provincetown on my bike, and I hadn't seen him since. I hadn't seen him since I was about 12, 15 years old, and Jazz and I were on our way to a play. At the intermission, I ran into James, and I wrote to him the next day, and I said, I have this idea, and he said, this is a wonderful idea, and I want to be your partner, and let's make this a book. So it's great. The response has been beautiful. It's been overwhelming, and it's been, you know, I've had a few of my students who've come across the book and said that it helps them. I had a student tell me that she said, you know, I didn't realize they would all be sort of the same, and I thought, oh my God, another critic. Yes, I know, it's 63 people. 64 people. They tell the same story. She said, no, I mean that they would all tell my story, and that was I just thought, okay, well, the book's done what it's supposed to do. I'm good now, you know. And the other kind of response has been from adults of all walks of life. You know, someone who said, I was a former fat kid, and this really moves me. And you know, other adults who say, I wish I had this, you know, and or this healed something in me, whether they're gay or straight. So it's been really running a gamut, which is exciting.
At first I was involved as the editor, and I got the proposal from Sarah and James, and I thought it was such an amazing idea, and I was so moved by it that when I made an offer to publish it, I included my own letter and said, you know, this is so personal to me, and it's such a wonderful project. I just wanted to share this, you know, with you. And that's how I got involved. Well, it's just started, but the feedback has been great. You know, people have each talked to me about different letters that really spoke to them personally. People wanting to write their own letters, you know, inspired to write their own letters when they're done. So it's been great. People saying, adults saying, oh, I wish I had this when I was a kid. It would have made my life easier. And I say, like, well, that's why we did it. You know, that sense each of us had of, if only I could have gone back and said that to my younger self, it would have been so helpful. What I wish I could have said, you know. Writing it was easier than reading it, because the act of writing it was a sort of a personal reflection, and you know, it's the kind of thing that I might have written just privately to myself before, although it was concentrated. But reading it out loud felt really vulnerable, you know, actually talking to real people. So I think when you're writing, at least when I'm writing, I don't have a sense of lots of people reading it, you know. And especially this, I was writing it specifically to myself, to my younger self. So that was kind of nice and private, and now comes the part where it's public, but that's okay. I would be excited to see some kids getting some comfort from it. That would be really exciting. I'd really love to hear from some teenager that they read it and it helped them.
I wrote a young adult novel called The Vast Fields of Ordinary, which was about a gay teenager growing up in the Midwest. And Sarah Moon, the editor, had read my book and asked me to take part in the anthology, and I said yes right away because the idea sounded really great, really cool. Well, she just kind of was like, she gave me the assignment, write this letter to yourself, and I was like, does it have any, are there rules, or the things you do and don't want to see? And she was very open. She's like, do whatever you want, which is why I think everything turned out so well, and there's such a wide variety. And I sat down and I kind of tried to think of all the things I wanted to tell myself, but I also kind of had this feeling that it's almost like a superstition, like telling yourself, if I could actually go back in time and talk to my teenage or younger self, I don't know how much I would want to give away about my life, because, that's kind of part of the excitement. So I tried to give the younger me a little bit of advice that he would be able to take with him without spoiling too much of life's surprises. I think I kind of mentioned this a little bit in my letter, but just not to be so scared. Okay. And I think that's kind of the theme of a lot of the pieces in the book is, growing up gay and or lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, and there's that fear that nobody's gonna like you, or that you're never gonna be happy. And I didn't let that fear paralyze me, but it was definitely something that I think in some situations held me back from being happy and having a good time and making friends and kind of just living life and not being too serious. So if I had to change anything, it might be that. But at the same time, I don't think I'd change anything, because everything about my experience has brought me to where I am today.
Exactly.